Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal, and these are your latest news updates. A lot to get into today. So obviously we're in April, and this is when you start to hear a lot about what teams are planning to do in the summer transfer window. And for us, I believe you're going to have a very active transfer window in terms of players leaving. We have a lot of players whose futures have not been decided, both players who are currently at Arsenal and players who are out on loan spells. And obviously in terms of signing players, we are looking at strikers. We are sure we're going to sign a striker. Are we going to get a defender? Are we going to get a midfielder? Which wing are we going to get? So a lot of questions still unanswered, but we might have found a couple of answers today, and that's what we're going to get into. So let's start with the latest on our striker situation. So this is what John Cross of the Mirrors had to say. Arsenal may have changed their transfer plans for the summer because of the success of Havertz. They still have their eyes on a number 9, but the profile might have changed towards a younger player who can have time to develop and mature while working with Arteta. So whether you like Havertz or not, recently it's been really good. The kind of goals he's been scoring. Now, he's not scored a bunch of goals. I know, and you tell people like he's got goals and they're like, yeah, yes, he's not scored 30 goals. I know that. I know he's not scored 30 goals, but the kind of goals that he scored, the kind of performances he's been putting up, the pressing from the front, the assists as well in a couple of those games as well. He has been putting up the performances. So they're not saying that since Havertz has been scoring a few goals here and there, we're not going to get a striker. No, it just means that we're going to go for a different profile. Now, maybe before Havertz started scoring goals as a number 9 for us, or before he started playing there, our main target might have been Ivan Toney. That was our main target. But Havertz started like scoring goals, like in terms of headers, and you can put in a cross and Havertz can score. That's the same thing Toney can do. And in terms of other abilities that I don't know about that maybe they're looking at, maybe they feel like, okay, listen, we have Havertz who can do that. What about this? Well, we have Jesus who can do that. What about this? We have Kai who can do that. So maybe this gives us an opportunity to get a different kind of striker who's going to develop with us, just like Saka and Martinelli have done, and all these guys have done, the likes of Odegaard. Someone who's not just going to come and okay, let's say it's still a prolific striker, but not a complete striker. Striker who's like already complete, like Erling Haaland. Like when Man City was signing Haaland, I think he's already complete. He had already scored goals in Germany, in Austria, so he's already pretty much ready to go. So for us, maybe you're not going to look at that. Maybe you're going to look for a player who's, even 70% still has 30% to be developed, but he can still score goals and he can still learn from who we have, whether it's Havertz, it's Jesus, and all those guys. That is what we're looking at. Sorry. So what kind of striker is that? Which striker are we looking at in terms of names? Now, also in terms of which striker we're looking at, we're also looking at the age profile and all that. So let's start with this one. So Evan Ferguson. Forget about the first part first. Let's go with the second part. Arsenal like Evan Ferguson for the striker position as one for the future. So we are looking at strikers who are going to stay with us for a couple of years, develop, and then maybe by the second season or the third season, they start to hit the ground running. Now, listen, I know people want a striker who's going to come and score goals right away, like Isaac or like players like that, players who are already prolific and already put up numbers in their careers already. But the truth is, yes, there's some games we miss chances, but the truth is the last couple of seasons we haven't really struggled for goals. That is the truth. Last season we broke the record in terms of goals, and then this season it is looking likely we made a mistake in terms of not signing a striker. Everyone was talking about why Arsenal not going to win the league in January. We were missing so many chances. Arsenal need a striker and all that. And by the way, even if you sign a striker, they're still going to miss chances. They're not going to score every single chance. Remember that Haaland does miss chances as well. So that's what everyone has been speaking about. But since January, we have scored a lot of goals and we are number 1 in terms of scoring goals in the Premier League this season. So the way we play, we mix up the goals, and Saka scores sometimes, Odegaard scores sometimes, Martinelli scores sometimes, Trossard has added his goals this season, Havertz has added to his goals this season, so that has really helped us. And to score that amount of goals, while Martinelli has been out like twice this season, Jesus has been out like 3 times this season, it's actually quite admirable. Like we've been able to score all those goals with all those players injured at different points of the season. We've not really had a set team until maybe now, so that is pretty interesting. So we are looking at Evan Ferguson. He's 19 years of age. The last season he was really good. It was looking like team Brighton would get like 90 million, 100 million for Evan Ferguson, but no one really came in for him. And this one he's been injured a lot. He's missed a lot of games, so we haven't really seen any of his performances this season at all. But he's definitely a striker who's going to be looked at by several teams. especially in the Premier League, I would expect maybe like a Tottenham to come in for him, like an Arsenal to come in for him. I wouldn't be surprised to hear maybe a Liverpool or West Ham want him as well, because he is a quality striker. But it looks like we are looking to go for a striker like this. A young striker who's going to develop like Saka and Martinelli, and then in the next couple of years, he's buying in goals and he's developed. Because if you get another Saka, or you get another Martinelli, those kind of players that were in our team when they were young, and then we've just seen them grow over the years, and now they've become lethal, then we are really cooking. But it depends on how much Evan Ferguson would cost, 60, 70 million. So before we come to the other strikers, let's read the first part of that tweet from John Casemiro, his article. Arsenal's priority this summer is far more likely to be a winger that competes with Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka. So they're looking at it like, instead of going and splashing 120 million for a striker, how about we get a striker who's going to be worth 40, 45 million, and maybe use 70, 75 million on a winger who's going to come help out Martinelli and Saka. I'm just making those figures up. By the way, it could be how they're going to split 100 million, or how they're going to split the 70 million, or how they're going to split the 200 million. I don't know. But they're looking like they're looking for a winger first. Now, I don't mind that. I don't mind going for a winger, because actually, if you had to ask me right now, striker or winger, I mean, our winger position, yes, we have Saka, we have Martinelli, and we have Trossard. But let's be honest, Saka has looked very tired for a lot of this season, and Martinelli has been injured like twice this season, and we've really struggled because Nelson doesn't really start games. And can you really throw in Nelson, for example, away at Bayern Munich? If Saka is not there, I don't think many people would trust him. So we would be forced to like play a Jesus on the right side, or start a Martinelli on the right side, or sometimes the last couple of games we've had to bring in Martinelli from the bench to play on the right side. So that shows that we definitely need a winger. And maybe Martinelli coming in the right side, maybe that is a plan for next season. Maybe have Saka and a different wing on the other side, and then have Martinelli and Trossard both coming in as impact players. That would be great. That would be great. However, they rotate. We have Martinelli and Saka and Trossard coming off the bench. Sometimes we have this new winger coming off the bench. Now, we've looked at players like Williams from Atletico Bilbao. One player that we haven't really been linked to, but it would be very interesting, is Leao from AC Milan. If you can get a player like that, that would be really, really interesting. If you have him like playing on the left side, that would be incredible. Imagine Saka and Leao, and then you have the options of Trossard and Martinelli as well. And listen, that kind of means Nelson will probably go. If you're looking for another wing, I don't think he's going to stay. But let me ask you, would you guys still prefer like to spend more money on a winger or more money on a striker? Which one would you go for first? If you're given 100 million and you're told, from this 100 million, how much money are you going? Let's say, if you're going to buy a striker for 70 million, you can only buy a 30 million winger. But if you buy a 70 million winger, you can only buy a 30 million striker. Which one are you going to make the priority? Getting a striker or getting a winger? I think we definitely need a backup for Saka, someone to help Saka out, because when Saka doesn't play well, we kind of struggle, and you don't really have anyone else to bring off the bench, and it really, really affects us up front. Yes, we've been missing some chances here and there, but up front, if Havertz is not playing well or isn't getting involved in the game, we have the option like what we did against Bayern Munich. We take Havertz back to midfield, and then we bring in Jesus. He comes in, gets an assist, contributes to the goal. Sometimes we can play Trossard up front, like I think we did that against West Ham or someone. Like, we have different options, but in the right winger position, I literally think we don't have options at all. At least for the striker, we don't have like incredible strikers, but we have options. On the right wing, we only have Saka. There's no one else. Nelson doesn't really play, and I'm sure he's going to leave. Doesn't look like he's an option for us. So it's going to be very interesting. Now, Evan Ferguson is not the only striker we are looking at. There is this one as well. Gyokeres is another striker we've been linked to. So Arsenal likes Sporting Lisbon striker Viktor Gyokeres, but he moved to Portugal from Coventry City for 20 million last summer. And if clubs did not move for him, then it seems unlikely they will break the bank just 12 months on. It would have to be the right deal. So Gyokeres is not going to cost you 40 million or 30 million. Now, that is where that percentage I've asked you guys. If you're going to go for someone like a Gyokeres, then you're going to only get like a wing who's going to be 25 million or something. And sometimes it can work. I mean, you got Trossard for 20-something million and it has worked, but you don't really get those strikers a lot of those kind of deals, too many deals like that. It's you have to be lucky sometimes, and we got lucky with Trossard. He had to leave Brighton, and we had to buy someone, and we went for him immediately, and it worked out very well for us. So Gyokeres is another striker we are looking at, but he's going to cost money, around 70 to 100 million. That is what is going to cost us. But in terms of the age bracket and all that, he definitely fits in what we are looking at. So if you're just looking at age and not really the money, Gyokeres would be an option, because I think right now he's around, I don't know his exact age, but I don't think he's, I'm sure he's like 23 or something, 22, 23. I'm not 100% sure, but he's not older. Like if you're going to, Toney's older, so you're not going to go for striker like a Toney or a Harry Kane, for example, or players like that who are slightly old. I can check the exact age Gyokeres is right now. I don't know if he's had a birthday recently or anything like that. Let me just check that, how old Gyokeres is. But we know Evan Ferguson is 19. I think Zagzi from Bologna, is it Bologna? Yeah, I think he's 22 or something like that. So all these strikers are pretty young, and I'm sure Gyokeres is very young as well. Let me see. He's 25. I mean, so he's below 25 years of age. I think we signed Declan Rice around that age as well. So not that old. 25 years of age, that's still very young. So it's not like above 25 years of age. For strikers who are 28, 29, I really doubt you're going to go for strikers like that. But anyone below 25 could be. But they can even go younger than that. If they're looking for even extremely younger player, they could be looking at 21 and below. And maybe Gyokeres does not fit into that. So right now I'm thinking, if you were to ask me chances of Gyokeres joining Arsenal, I'd say maybe 30%. I feel like maybe they have other ideas and other plans. Now, it's going to be very interesting, though, in terms of our striker situation and our winger situation, how we are going to approach that. Now, Ivan Toney is back on the news again. As I said, I feel like we're not going to sign him unless this is what is going to cost us. Arsenal and Chelsea are monitoring Ivan Toney closely ahead of the summer transfer window. His price tag is around 30 to 40 million all in at the moment. So Platigol said, reported by Platigol, that's Plettenberg, 30 to 40 million for Toney. Now, would that change the approach? If we get a striker like Toney who's going to be cheaper, would that change our approach? Now, with this, maybe this can mean, listen, you go and get a 60 million winger, and then you get a 40 million striker like Ivan Toney. That would work out. But I really don't think they're going to get 100 million or even 90, 80 million for Ivan Toney. They will have to maybe 50 million, 60 million at most. That's the price that Ivan Toney will be sold for. And I also did hear that his attitude and all that doesn't really fit into the Arsenal team, like the team spirit you have right now and everyone getting along and all that. They feel like Ivan Toney is the kind of player to disrupt that, and they don't want that at all. But in terms of Premier League experience and scoring goals, he's definitely very good. But I still feel like even though Platigol is supporting that, unless like we're really short of money and we have to change our plans and go for him because it's cheaper, maybe. But in terms of first choice, I don't think Ivan Toney is anywhere close to being our first choice target. I even don't think he's going to end up at Chelsea. I'd not be surprised if Toney ended up like at a Tottenham or something, or Tottenham or West Ham as their striker. Would not be surprised at all. But I really doubt he's going to stay at Brentford next season. But you guys can see which kind of strikers we are going for. We are definitely going to get a striker and a winger. It just like depends on how we are going to balance it out and which strikers we're going to get and which winger we are going to get and who is going to leave as well. Nelson, Ketia, all of them. Who is going to leave first? If Nelson moves out fast, maybe we go for a winger first. If Ketia moves out fast, maybe we go for a striker first. So it's going to be interesting, man. It's very, very tough to predict what is going to happen. Now, let's move to midfielders. A player that we've just played against. He will be in the market this transfer window, looks like, and that is Musiala. There's a belief among clubs that Jamal Musiala may be viable this year or next. Musiala is known to favor a move to the Premier League as his next destination for the competition's immense international profile and the fact he grew up in West London. So yeah, he used to play for Chelsea's academy. Maybe that could be a place he'd want to go. He's a very quality player. I actually expected him to be one of the players to watch out for when he played against them, but I think he's a little bit quiet. I think Sane was definitely active. Gnabry is definitely active in that game. Kane a few times here and there. I think all of those, even Goretzka, I think all of them did more than what Musiala did in that match, but still a player to watch out for when you go to their place next week. Still very, very dangerous player, but he could be available this summer or the next summer. Very quality player. If you had to give me Musiala right now, I'd 100% take him, but is that really our priority? I don't think so. That position where Musiala plays, like in those midfield roles, number 8, number 10, you already have Odegaard there. Smith Rowe is still there. We don't know what's going to happen to him. We don't know what's going to happen to Vieira. We have Trossard who can play there. If we sign a number 6, Declan Rice could be permanently moved to a number 8 position. So I don't really think like we need a Jamal Musiala right now before we get like a wing or a striker. Those are the positions we need. If we had a backup for Saka already and he had a striker, let's say Isaac next to Jesus and Havertz, then we'd have been looking at maybe strengthening our midfield positions and maybe even defenders or something like that. But right now, I feel like obviously if Ramsdale leaves, you have to get a goalkeeper. You have to sort out the midfield as well. If Partey, we don't know the situation with Partey and Jorginho and all those guys, and then obviously winger and striker. And I don't think you're going to see 6, 7 players coming in. I think people will now be very, very wary of how people are being deducted points. I don't think people will spend too much money this upcoming transfer windows. But Musiala is one to watch out for. Interesting to see how he plays against us next week. We'll be keeping an eye on him. Lastly, a player who will be leaving, a player who used to play those midfield positions for us, so hasn't really gotten any chance to. Charlie Poutine is expected to leave Arsenal in the summer. Clubs in Spain are interested in him, and Ethan Nwaneri's emergence is prioritized by Mikel Arteta. So unfortunately for Patino, doesn't look like he's going to make the breakthrough. There's a time he came on in a game like 3-4 years ago, and we were very excited, but recently he's been struggling with injuries, and obviously there's been people saying he doesn't really have the body for the Premier League. It's too small for the Premier League and all that. But he's had a spell at Blackpool. He's looked okay, but Nwaneri has emerged now, and I feel like, as they said, Nwaneri is going to be given the priority and not Patine, and they're looking to cash in on the young. So it's going to be sad. He's a player that we're looking at like, hey, listen, is he going to be the next one after Martinelli, after Saka and Smith Rowe and Martinelli? Obviously, we signed. Is he going to be the next one after all those players? It doesn't look like it. And right now, we're trying to go to the next level. Let's say we don't win the Champions League this season, looking unlikely. It can still happen. Who knows? Imagine if we win the Premier League and the Champions League, wherever. If we don't win any of them, we still want to compete next season again. We don't want to be that team that many people expected us to just compete last season. Like, okay, Arsenal, yeah, this is the last season. This was their best chance to take any trophy. They're never going to be up there again. But no, this is now the second season we are up there competing for the Premier League and now the Champions League. Now, we are hoping this is the same situation for the next 5-6 years, just like Liverpool and Man City went toe-to-toe for like 5-6 years. That is what we need. Compete every single season, keep on improving the team, and the trophies will definitely come. And by the time you're looking back to 2024, around 2027, we'll be like, oh, listen, we got 2 Premier League titles, we got a Champions League, we got to another final, we got to a 1 FA Cup, we got to 2 Carabao Cup finals, like all that together. That would be great. But that's the latest in terms of all the transfer news. Let me know what you make about the striker and the winger situation. Which one would you prioritize? Do you think you're taking a gamble on Havertz and Jesus, or do you think they've been good enough they can sort it out for a few games as the new striker develops? What do you think about Evan Ferguson, Gyokeres, Toney? Do you think 25 years is too old? I think we need to get a striker first? Let me know about all that. But as of now, I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you, and I'll catch up with you on the next.